The following podcast contains alcohol-enhanced conversations about alcohol, as well as a potential for discussions about topics of dubious, disturbing, possibly offensive, but usually hilarious interest. The opinions stated herein are solely of the persons making them, and any endorsement of these opinions by any other party is not implied. Foul language is likely, but intolerant viewpoints are not. Listener intoxication is advised. Hello and welcome to episode 81 of the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. I'm Scott.
I'm Ed.
And for our third numbered capital E episode in a row that was born out of our trip to Kentucky, the first of which was the two-part episode 79 about the trip itself, and episode 80, which was all about some of the cocktails we tried. But today we're going to be diving deep into one of the iconic distilleries we visited, complete with whiskeys we bought in their gift shop. And that distillery is the feline-filled Bardstown bastion of whiskey known as Willett. And joining us once again on this trip back to Kentucky, just as he joined us on the original outing, it's Jeff the Knight, who says neat.
Hello.
Of course, we featured Willett products on the podcast before. We tasted their iconic family estate 4-year rye way back in season 2 on episode 14, their pot still bourbon in our very first Whiskey Madness tournament in 2020, and the Pure Kentucky XO in our 2022 tournament. But now Ed's here to start us off by telling us which 5 new wonderful Willett whiskeys we'll be analyzing tonight to answer the age-old question, will it be good?
Yeah, we thought about just drinking all of them again. And then we said, no, let's leave the ones off that we've already featured in some way or another. So we're not going to do the pot still, we're not going to do the family estate rye, nor the Kentucky XO, which is one of my favorites.
It is good.
But we are going to do some really interesting whiskeys for you. First of all, in part 1, we're going to feature Kentucky Vintage Bourbon, which is a 90 proof expression. And that will be featured alongside a gift shop only release called the Speakeasy Bourbon, which is 98 proof. And Scott, do these have the similar mash bills?
They have similar mash bills. One's a blend and one has a single mash bill of the other.
You're going to tell us more about this,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So part 2, we're going to come back in with Old Bardstown Bottle and Bond Bourbon. You know, I'm a sucker for them. Something very similar, the Old Bardstown Estate Bourbon, which is 101 proof. I'm not going to tell you what the Bottle and Bond is. I'm assuming that our listeners know it's 100. And the Noah's Mill Bourbon, which is a favorite of many people, if you know type of a thing, comes in at a lofty 114.3 proof. And we're going to finish the night with that, with whatever's left of us. So Scott's going to tell you how we're going to approach this.
Yeah, so those last 3 that you mentioned, they are all the same mash bill, just different proofs. So that'll be interesting to taste them side by side. And before I begin, the Willett history, I do want to say that this was super confusing to put together. Willett has a confusing family history and also a whiskey history. And I ended up consulting several different sources, most of which contradicted each other in different ways, but hopefully I've gotten the vast majority of it correct. Everybody ready?
Oh, please share with us.
Oh.
And here we go. The Willett family's history in America begins in the 1690s. That's why this is long. When Edward Willett, a wealthy pewterer from England, moved his family to the Maryland colony. But it would be another 50 years before the Willett family's whiskey legacy would begin. In the 1740s, Edward's son, William Willett, began distilling rye whiskey at their family's tavern in Mount Calvert, Maryland. In 1792, William's son, William Jr., who learned the distilling process from his father, moved to Nelson County, Kentucky, the very year Kentucky became a state. However, it was his son, John David Willett, who would become the patriarch of the Kentucky distilling tradition that is now synonymous with the name Willett. Born in 1841, John David started working at one of many distilleries when he was just 14 years old, eventually working his way up to becoming part owner and master distiller of the Willett and Frank Distillery. In 1876, owing to failing health, John David signed over his interest in that distillery to his sister and daughters, 2 of whom were married to Ben Mattingly and Thomas Moore, who began running the distillery as Mattingly and Moore, which if you listen to episode 46, you know eventually that would morph into Barton's. But John David ended up recovering and living another 38 years, during which time he fathered additional children. In 1898, one of those kids, Aloysius Lambert Willett, at the age of 15, would work a 5-year stint at the Mattingly and Moore Distillery, and then 2 decades more for the Max Sellinger and Company Distillery, until Prohibition. After Prohibition ended, Aloysius Lambert and his sons A.L. Thompson Willett and Johnny Drum Willett would purchase a farm together in Bardstown and found a new distillery on the site simply called the Willett Distilling Company. Construction began in the spring of 1936. Their first batch of 30 barrels were filled in March of 1937, and after just a few years of aging, they released their first original brand, the Old Bardstown Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, in the 1940s. In 1970, after Aloysius Lambert's death, A.L. Thompson Willett took over the company, which is when his daughter Martha Willett and some of the members of her generation began working for the company as well. In 1972, Martha would marry Evan G. Colsveen, a former merchant marine, chef, and craftsman of fine glass decanters who had emigrated to the United States from Norway at the age of 14. During the 70s energy crisis, and with the bourbon industry experiencing a bit of a crisis of its own, Willett switched from producing whiskey to producing ethanol for fuel, a strategy that ultimately doomed the company when fuel prices quickly returned to lower levels in the early 1980s. And because the bourbon doldrums were still ongoing, Willett's distilling facilities were completely shut down. However, Evan and Martha Colsveen purchased the company in July of 1984, renamed it Kentucky Bourbon Distillers, or KBD, and began selling bourbon from the aging barrels that the distiller had already produced. KBD then began operating as an independent bottling company, purchasing bourbon from other distilleries. In the 1990s, Willett released their small batch collection, which included 4 whiskeys: Rowan's Creek, Noah's Mill, Pure Kentucky, and Kentucky Vintage. In 2008, they released Willet Pot Still Reserve in a bottle crafted to look like their original unused pot still. And in 2012, the company started using Willett Distillery as its primary business name, renovating their pot still, and embarked on making their own whiskey once again. In 2015 and 2016, the first rise in bourbons were bottled under the Family State brand, as well as new versions of Old Bardstown Bourbon and Bottled in Bond Bourbon. In addition, they began phasing out the sourcing of whiskey in favor of their own distillate, but they never publicized exactly when those turnovers occurred for each brand. However, there is actually a way to tell, which I'll explain when I'm done. Today, the Willett Distillery remains family-owned and is now run by the next generation of the Willett Colsveen family, including daughter Britt Colsveen, current president and chief whiskey officer, son Drew Colsveen, current master distiller, and Drew's wife Janelle Colsveen, who runs the gift shop and tasting room. Also, with the addition of the world-class restaurant, the Bar at Willett, which we were at, their distillery sees 80,000 visitors each year, and they distill, barrel, and bottle 12 brands that are distributed nationwide. So the way you tell if you have a bottle of Willett distilled whiskey or a sourced whiskey from them, if it says explicitly distilled by Willett versus if it was merely bottled by Willett.
Right, I'm looking at it right now. It says straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey, distilled, aged, and bottled by Willett.
Right.
I guess because they're so proud that they got that back, they make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
I also mentioned that, and maybe Scott, you might have seen this too, that the bar at Willett is up for some recognition this year.
How is it?
It is a James Beard semifinalist.
Oh, yeah, the James Beard Award.
Right, in the category of outstanding bar.
Oh, awesome.
It's really hard to get that.
It's very prestigious.
Yeah, they give it to chefs, restaurants,
Yeah.
you know.
In like the food hospitality industry.
Right.
Yeah.
We would concur. It's an amazing experience. And, and if you go to Kentucky and you don't have lunch at Willett's restaurant,
You're missing out.
You're missing out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once again, if this is your first time ever meeting us, get the egg salad. Trust me. The only regret I have of the trip to the Willet Bar is not ordering 3 more egg salad sandwiches.
Definitely. Another thing is older bottles used to say the KBD on it. I think when we started first getting into whiskey, Ed, we were like, oh, this is Willett. No, it's KBD. I'm confused.
It was very confusing.
And so now we know why. And I think Noah's Mill, when I first had it years ago, it would used to say like Noah's Mill Distillery or something. Like they made fake distilleries.
Yeah, right. That I definitely remember when we first started.
Yeah.
They had 3 or 4 different distilleries within the distillery, but they're just putting the names on. Like they're all into the same place.
Yeah. This made it hard actually to find professional tasting notes because many of the reviews were kind of older and they were the sourced versions and not the Willett distilled versions we have today. But I did finally find one for each of the 5 that we're doing. So
nice.
So the first one we're going to try, this is one that Jeff bought at the gift shop, the Kentucky Vintage Bourbon. They don't have much to say about it on their site. It just says the commingling of mash bills generates a mellow balance of flavor. Those mash bills are 72% corn, 13% rye, 15% malted barley. You're going to hear a lot about that one today. And the 15% of it is the 79% corn, 7% rye, 14% malted barley. It's 90 proof. There's no age statement, and it was about $40. We have tasting notes from Scotch Noob from 2021.
We're nosing it?
Yeah. Pretty traditional. Oh, vanilla's really strong, actually.
Little chemical.
Yeah, a little bit. There's a weird, it's kind of dry, like dusty, like sawdust almost.
I was going to say an overripe apple.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Like that musky scent.
Yeah, kind of what you mean. It's also almost bready in a way.
I'm smelling corn, like corn whiskey.
It is a strange nose. It's not exactly off-putting, but it's not welcoming either.
There's not much to the nose.
Yeah.
You got to really get in there. But
Yeah, like not street corn, but if you ever had like corn fritters, a little bit grassy, like down on a farm, grassy corn, like a field of corn almost. I'm gonna try it now.
Yeah, me too.
I could tell this is one that I would have bought because it definitely has strong citrus notes.
It definitely tastes better than it smells.
Absolutely.
Sweet corn, like a creamed corn almost, but not creamy.
Yeah. I agree. There's not really much to the palate. I don't get a lot of the fruit that Jeff is. I don't really get sweetness until it's almost gone.
So what kind of citrus are you getting? Do you say citrus or fruits?
I would say fruits.
Fruits, okay.
Apple.
Apple, okay.
But I don't get corn.
No, I'd say I don't really get apple.
Oh.
Ow.
This is one of the least sweet whiskeys, especially something we were drinking earlier tonight, which is the opposite. This is a very herbaceous whiskey to me. The sweetness doesn't really come into the end, and it's like almost like a good and plenty.
Oh.
Like I'm getting anise on the end,
Okay.
and like a little sugar. Get a sweet licorice in a way.
It's also drying.
Very drying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a pop of sweetness up front, and then that all kind of fades away into the other flavors that we were talking about.
No, I do not get it up front. It's interesting.
You get it at the end.
I literally get it as I swallow.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I'm glad that Jeff is getting what he likes of it since he bought it.
Yeah, because we did try this on the tour. You liked it, and I think that's why you bought it.
So this is a fine whiskey. It's just not my flavor profile. It's very herbaceous. It's very peppery, which is fine. But it's, to me, hay, not necessarily hay, but grass and corn and oak and little cinnamon, maybe. I'm getting maybe a baking spice.
Well, the baking spice comes out when you add a little bit of water.
Yeah.
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 And it's on the finish too, mixing with the black licorice flavor I got.
The water did bring that out.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly can drink it, but it's devoid of sweetness for me. And I like candy notes on my bourbon. So for that reason, I'm out. Like, I think, Scott, this is probably, as a bourbon goes, this is probably close to.
I mean, yeah.
For you.
For $40.
And for 40 bucks.
No, I know, for 40 bucks. I mean, we're being overly critical here.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. I don't particularly love it.
It's a little hot for 92. I'm getting like a really Kentucky hug right now from a 90 proofer.
Yeah. Like, if this is more than 40, I'd be disappointed.
This is just very drying. It's very herbaceous.
All right, so I'm looking at the nose. I mean, we killed the nose on the palate. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is Scott Snoop from 2021, so this is Willett stuff.
Okay.
On the nose, sawdust, hay, dry corn husks,
Oh, shit.
corn syrup,
Wow.
and a hint of acetone, which was the chemically thing you were getting,
I
Jeff.
didn't get that, but Jeff got it, yeah.
Palate, full-bodied and woody up front with notes of birch beer, roasted chestnuts, cola, and a hint of cinnamon. On the finish, medium short with some black licorice and more cola, astringent, but with very little bitterness.
I mean,
that was good.
that's about the best we can do.
We did great with that,
Pretty good at
guys.
this.
Yeah, it's not our first day at the rodeo here.
I mean, I smelled that sawdust like
I've been
right away. It was right in my nose.
I said grassy, which haze. I mean,
Yeah.
hay's just a grass.
Yeah. I think you actually said hay at one point.
I did, but
Yeah.
I actually
You meant grass.
misspoke. I meant grass and said hey, but I guess maybe subliminally.
Yeah, you backed into it.
And then I said it was like, it smelled like a field of corn.
Oh, field
Or
of corn?
Corn fritter.
There you
too,
go,
yeah.
dry corn husks.
Yeah,
That's right.
yep.
A dry field of corn.
Right, like dead. Like
Dead corn.
Or one of those Halloween corn things.
Yeah,
right,
like
right.
those
That's what they're saying,
corn
right?
stalks. Yeah,
corn stalks.
absolutely.
And the licorice on the finish is so funny that he got the peppery licorice.
Yep. All right, you want to move on to the second one?
I've been dying to drink this one
Yeah.
for fucking 3 months.
Apparently, you can only get it in the distillery, although I have seen it online, but I think that's maybe people
Yeah,
buying
that's
it and then reselling
reselling it, right, yeah.
This is the Speakeasy bourbon.
Yeah.
I saw it in the gift shop, and they were saying that you could only get it there, so I was like, yeah, okay, let's get this. On the bottle, it says... Behind false bookshelves and trick doors, parties of lavish extravagance were replete with jazz music and the allure of forbidden spirits. Patrons knew to speak easy, or softly, of their secret watering hole lest they draw the attention of a Prohibition agent. The noble experiment failed, but the bold resilience of elegant whiskey drinkers has proven timeless. It's 98 proof. It's 5 years aged. The mash bill in this is the 15% that was in the Kentucky vintage, the 79% corn, 7% rye, 14% malted barley. This was also $40. Let's take a smell of this.
Now this I get a little bit of like fruits and citrus on the nose.
It does have a more interesting nose.
Got like a confectionery sugar.
It's sweeter. I'm getting fruits on this one.
Absolutely, I have fruits right away.
Pear?
More like strawberry.
Okay, interesting. Strawberry. Interesting.
Definitely a strawberry.
I'm getting cinnamon on the nose. Oak.
I get some apple, I think.
I got the pear skin.
Oh, pear skin.
Skin of a pear.
Interesting.
Get a little smell of rye, even though it's such a small rye mash bill.
Yeah, there's like a graininess there. It's not as simple as the Kentucky Vintage, but it's fairly simple on the nose. Let's take a taste.
So now this is definitely sweeter for me. More fruits. I get apple. I smelled a little bit. I taste a lot more. It's more prevalent on the palate.
It's more flavorful overall. I'm getting fruits and I'm getting like spiciness.
This is very
spicy pepper.
For 98 proof, this is very easy to drink. It's certainly less hot than the 90 proof Kentucky Vintage is.
Yeah, it is smoother for
I
sure.
mean, my God, I can drink this all day. I don't even need any water in it. I'm going to put a little bit more in it.
Yeah, and the Kentucky Vintage was not the first whiskey that we had tonight, so that's not a factor there.
No. Put a couple drops of water in. Don't overdo it. Like 2 or 3. I think it lets some of the sweetness out.
There is a sweet woody quality.
Oh my God.
With like baking spices, but like dry baking spices.
Both have dry finishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me what you think about this with water, Scott. I'm really impressed by it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even the same whiskey anymore.
With like 4 drops of water in it, it became this like caramel bomb for me with apples.
Caramel apples. It's so much sweeter.
Yes.
Opened it right up.
The sugar that you were getting on the nose, Jeff, is there.
I agree.
Right.
I'm getting a little bit more oak on the end, but that's after it's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not really in the sip itself.
Not compared to the first one we had, which was very oaky in my opinion. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
I'm going to even put a little bit of more water in it.
Maybe?
Because I really liked it.
What was the price point on this one?
$40 also.
Oh, wow.
We definitely should have bought it. I wanted to buy one, but Scott was policing me, which I told him to do. But I'm like, we'll never get it again. Like,
Scott.
He's like, you always do that. I'm like, I know, but I really want it. Don't buy it.
I don't know. I think that's fake news. I don't think that happened there.
It absolutely did happen.
It definitely happened at places. I don't know if it happened there.
I wanted to buy a bottle of this, so half this bottle is mine in my opinion. I will give you $20 before you get that. I just Venmoed you $20. It's half my bottle, and we're drinking out of your half right now.
God damn it, you motherfucker.
Your half is down to a quarter. Why you got
You just got Gabe.
Hey, what's the big idea?
No, Gabe is being interrupted. Scott is being gypped out of his whiskey.
Oh my God! As if that ever happens. Scott does pretty good around here with whiskey. Don't let him tell you different. Just between you, we don't tell him. If I keep him on a nice steady buzz, he does all the editing and doesn't ask a lot of questions. He's like, I don't know, Ed, I don't feel like doing it. Oh, wait, I bought you this bottle while I was out today. Why don't you just finish the rest of this tonight?
Oh, well, that's so nice. I guess I'll do some more editing.
Oh my God, where does Four Roses Single Barrel come from? There you go, big guy. Just there you go. Next thing you know, another year goes by and...
You just keep Scott plied with whiskey.
Exactly.
He'll do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Wait.
Because the cost of having someone else edit it would be thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Tasting notes from Barrel Banter.
I can't wait to hear what they said because to me it was like a candy bomb. But
Barrel Banter from 2025. Oh, on the nose, light and fruity with notes of strawberry. Banana and orange creamsicle.
Okay.
A subtle hint of oak and rye spice. On the palate, basic and easygoing with an oily mouthfeel and a crisp red apple profile that gradually shifts toward green apple, oak, and rye spice.
Wow.
On the finish, although some sweetness is lost, the finish is smooth and uncomplicated with a bit more charred oak.
wow.
Yeah, that was pretty good. The banana.
I didn't get banana.
Orange. Didn't you say citrusy on this?
He
Jeff?
did
A
when
little bit.
for his
Yeah.
first sip was citrusy.
Yeah. Reading the tasting notes again, because this is very different than most whiskeys that have this profile. Is that because it has a high amount of malted barley in it?
Yeah.
Because what the tasting notes say to me is Irish whiskey.
The apple, right? Because the apple's
Because
so prevalent.
of all the apple, easygoing,
Well,
the
how much malted
smoothness.
barley's in it? It was 79% corn, isn't it?
14% malted barley.
So there's no rye in it?
7.
So I can't do math?
Yes. 79, 7, and 14.
That makes 100?
Yes.
Okay. I hate nines. They fuck everything up.
You're right. So 9 plus 7 is 86, but 14 is 100. Because the other mash bill that was in the first one had 15% malted barley.
Speaking of Irish whiskeys,
Yeah.
I got a special whiskey coming for the Super Bowl.
Oh.
It's going to be the Powers 100% Rye, the green label, the Eagle label.
What you mean, Ed?
Oh.
I'm bringing it to the game.
What's
this
you
week.
talking about, Edward, over there?
So bring the Irish to bring home the trophy.
Yeah, bringing the green to the green.
Fly, Eagle, fly. the road to victory.
Hopefully, Scott won't have to drive me home this year.
Oh, yeah.
2 years ago, when we lost, I got a little bit inebriated. Though
Yeah.
I am a pleasant drunk, you should know that.
That's true.
I just, while we were losing the game at the end, I was just telling everyone how much I love them.
Yeah.
And then Scott led me home. Problem is, if I fall, then it's the get me up thing that's a bigger problem.
Right.
I heard a great story about when Andre the Giant passed out in the hotel lobby, like 12 feet from the elevator. Andre the Giant is a famous drinker. Like, he's drank 118 beers in one night.
He was an incredibly large human being and could put away alcohol.
At an illogical level.
Yeah.
Like, he could drink bottles of whiskey, cases of wine. But one night, evidently, it caught up to him. And on his way up to his hotel room, he passed out at about 3 a.m. in the lobby. Hulk Hogan was telling the story. He came down in the morning, like 7 o'clock in the morning, to get some breakfast, 7:30. And Andre the Giant is just laying there in the middle of the lobby. And it was just walking around him like he's just immense, right? He's like 7'4", 470 pounds, right?
You can't move him.
You can't move him.
No.
He's just he's just laying there. He's like, yeah, just walked by him, got myself like a muffin and coffee, went back up to my room. It's like, what are you going to do? Like, that's not me, but yeah.
Right. One person.
Yeah. No one's getting me off the
Yeah.
ground. And there's only been a half a dozen times in my life where I've been out in the world where that was possible. Unfortunately, Scott's been with me 4 of them.
Yes, all 4.
I've always made it home.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
So I mixed them, these two.
Oh, shit, dude.
Yeah. I can taste the strawberry now. The strawberry really comes out when you mix these two.
I don't want to mix it.
No? You don't want to mix it?
I'm loving the Speakeasy by itself.
There you go.
Let me taste yours.
Here.
A few moments later.
Oh, I do like that. Shit, I might do that now because
It's pretty good.
it actually helps this a lot.
Right. It helps the first one a lot to have it. And it does have, like I said, 15% of its mash bill in there. Maybe that's it. Plus, both of them were proofed down with a little bit of water as well.
Yeah, just give a splash. Man.
This is the kind of whiskey alchemy we do. Oh, I taste a banana now. What the hell's going on?
So, Scott, since we're doing this, what's the mash bill of the Kentucky Vintage?
All right. So I'll go through it again.
Wow, it's way better.
Yeah, isn't it? The Kentucky Vintage is 85% of a 72% corn, 13% rye, 15% malted barley, 15% of the 79% corn, 7% rye, 14% malted barley that Ed couldn't do the math on.
Shade. Yeah.
And then the Speakeasy is that second mash bill totally.
Right. So it makes a much more complex whiskey. It really does. Like, I'm sipping this now. And
It's really
I
good.
feel like this is like a $70 whiskey. You know what I mean? There's more depth to it because the flavors are not 100% blending, but they're adding to each other.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on the Old Bardstown Bottle and Bond and the Old Bardstown Estate Bourbon and the Nose Mill, all the same mash bill. And we're going to see, are these more traditional notes that we expect from Willett, or are they going to be more unique like these ones?
All right.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break, wash our glasses, come back with 3 more whiskeys, and hopefully, some milk sizzle for our livers or whatever.
Milk thistle?
Mix sizzle with your fizzle.
What's the stuff that was supposed to help?
Thanks, Snoop Dogg.
What's it supposed to sizzle?
Shizzle my thistle.
Sizzle, sizzle. No, isn't milk?
Milk thistle.
Yeah, I had a lisp when I was a child. Don't torture me.
You're the one who brought it up.
But isn't that what's supposed to make your liver cleanse? Yes.
Yes, I'll be back in 2 and 2.
Okay, so we're back for part 2. Woo! We're going to be featuring 3 whiskeys on this one. The Old Bardstown Bottle and Bond, 100 proof. The Old Bardstown Estate Bourbon, 101. And then we're going to end up with a Noah's Mill Bourbon, 114.3. Remember, these are all the same mash bill. So we're looking to see what they do differently, how they hit different, what journey they take, and so forth and so on. And Scott's going to tell us about the first expression.
The Old Bardstown Bottle and Bond Bourbon. This is the one that Ed gravitated to on our tour because he's a whore for Bottle and Bond.
Love it.
The description on the site, again, is very simple. Old Bardstown Bottle and Bond features the original family mash bill. This specialty bottling is distributed only in the state of Kentucky. I don't know if that's true, but that's what their site said.
I've never seen it outside of it.
All right.
So I went there planning to buy this and got it.
It is 100 proof, as Bottle and Bond is, 4 years aged, 72% corn, 13% rye, 15% malted barley. That's the mash bill, as Ed said, of all 3 of these whiskeys in the second part here. The MSRP is $25.
And what's the corn again?
72.
72. And it says on the front, distilled and bottled by Willett.
Right. And the tasting notes, when we get to them, are from the Whiskey Ramble in just last year.
No, I got to ramble. Ramble.
Ramble on! Around the world, have some bourbon. On my way.
I love it.
Just float in some Led Zeppelin Ramble On in there. Such a great song. It's one of my favorite songs by them.
Yeah.
All right. This is in your number 1 E-class. The Old Bardstown. Bottle and Bond Bourbon.
Smells like pears.
Oh, you're smelling pears in this one. The first layer is pretty traditional. As you were remarking in the first part before we left, would these be more traditional? This one, to me, smells it. I smell the vanilla. I smell the oak. I smell the brown sugar. I smell
Caramel, vanilla.
a little bit of cherry.
There's no wheat in this, is there? But it smells weedy. Like a sweet wheat.
Do you smell any baking spices?
I do not.
I don't either.
I get so much honey on it, though. Like, my God, it's like I'm smelling a jar of honey.
Like a light sweetness.
I get a little cinnamon, like breakfast cinnamon, if that makes any sense to anybody out there.
A little bit floral and herbaceous, but nothing specific. I mean, it's a pleasant nose, but traditional.
Unremarkable.
Really, I find it very enjoyable.
I'm just not.
How
getting,
dare you? I'm just kidding.
I'm not getting anything.
You're not getting anything at all?
No.
Oh.
Well, taste it then. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
get something to taste.
I get a little like graham cracker and oak.
I got the cracker.
Yeah.
And a little cherry.
That's
There's
there.
definitely a breadiness to this. Like,
Yeah.
whether a cake or dough, like a vanilla cookie or something. But there's also peach involved.
It's a little yeasty.
I'm getting Nilla Wafer.
Oh, Nilla Wafers.
Oh my God.
Remember those?
Yeah, I do.
No, right. Yeah, vanilla cookies. Right, sure, absolutely.
They were like the cookie that was left when all the other good cookies were
Yeah.
gone.
That's right. Something your mother would buy.
Right.
Oh, I love these
They're
Nilla
good if you
Wafers.
dip them in Nutella, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Oh, I bet they are. I think you dip anything in Nutella. Makes it good.
Hello.
Been there, done that.
Jeffrey.
I feel like the finish is almost the same as the palate, except it's just got some like pepper on it.
It's good. It's very serviceable. The $25.
$25. This is
Yeah.
amazing for $25.
That's what I'm saying. It's better than it's $25. It's,
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't taste like it's a $60 whiskey. It
No.
tastes-
No.
It's fine.
yeah, exactly. This is
I mean, but-
competing with like Evan Williams bottle
right.
and
If you're
Bond.
comparing with like white label Jim Beam, this kicks the living crap out of
Well,
that.
sure.
No offense, Jim Beam.
Yeah, so
And,
if you're living on the street and you need some liquor, and you
well,
don't have,
I'm with you, Jeff.
For all the homeless that are listening to our podcast,
Right. You need 20, you need about 20, 25 good bags.
it's
then you
very
got this.
economical.
it is.
Yeah, there's not. That's cool. So here's what makes a $25 whiskey. It's a very short finish.
Hey, what's that? What's that flaming door right there?
I see pitchforks and flames. What's that crack opening up in the floor? We lost Jeff to hell. Woo!
Did anybody put water in it? I know it's
No.
only 100 proof, but
No,
maybe.
I mean, yeah, let's
I'm
do
gonna
it.
Try it right now.
Let's do it.
20 minutes later.
Hey, you know what? This isn't bad.
I feel like it gave it some baking spice.
You're right.
It gave us some more sweetness and spice and took the alcohol down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot though, because I might have put 1 or 2 more in because I feel like I gave a little too much wood.
I'm definitely tasting like cinnamon and nutmeg.
Yeah,
Maybe a little citrus.
maybe.
But definitely the water added a little bit more pepper on the finish. Whereas the finish was very smooth and unremarkable, as Jeff said. Tasting notes from the Whiskey Ramble.
Okay.
On the nose, vanilla, light brown sugar, and a dusty cereal essence almost like Cheerios.
Okay.
Along with a touch of floral, sweetened almonds, a faint layer of freshly whipped cream, and some black tea. Interesting. On the palate, sweet and delicate with honey cereal, corn, almond, vanilla, and light brown sugar. Finish creamy and warm with brown sugar, almond, and oak. Almond is one that none of us actually said.
I didn't get almond.
Creamy, it's not really creamy. It is warming. Brown sugar seems too deep. It's more like lightly sweet. You like it?
It's fine.
Overall?
Yeah, I mean, for $25, it's amazing. If it was $40, it would still be a good whiskey. I think that a couple drops plays with it in the right way.
Where does it fit in with the first two?
Well, for me, it's better than the Kentucky Vintage, but
Yeah.
not as good as the Speakeasy.
Yeah, that's where it fits for me too.
Yeah.
What's going to be interesting is now tasting it against its more expensive cousin that's only 1 proof point higher, the Old Bardstown Estate Bourbon.
Did you know what the age difference is between all these?
There's no age statements on any of them, and what I can find, they're all 4 or more years.
The Estate Bourbon looks darker than the Bottled Bond.
Okay.
So I feel like it might be a little older.
Could be.
That's my gut.
Yeah.
Especially if it's more expensive. What does this one cost?
I'll tell you. This is a description from Breaking Bourbon. Featuring a horse and the name Old Bardstown on its label, Old Bardstown Estate Bottled Bourbon pays homage to the racing horse legend who was named after the city of Bardstown, Kentucky, and was bred and trained by Calumet Farms. Old Bardstown was one of the most acclaimed racehorses of his time, ending his career with 18 first-place finishes, 7 second-place finishes, and 1 third-place finish. So there was Bardstown, and then there was the horse Old Bardstown, and then they named the whiskey after the horse. Stats are 101 proof, no age statement, 72% corn, 13% rye, 15% malted barley, same as the bottle and bod. The MSRP was 40.
10% horse.
All right. So
And 10% horse. All right, let's swirl and sniff. Oh, cherry. Really loud up for me on this one.
very cherry, but a candy cherry.
Yes.
Really?
Not like the fruit. I want to be clear on that. Like cherry candy, like a gummy or something. I don't know. Like not a fun gummy, like a lifesaver gummy or something.
Right, just a regular
A cherry candy, or maybe
candy
even cherry
gummy.
water ice, maybe. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, a sweet cherry,
Yeah,
for sure.
like an artificial candy cherry. How many ways do I have to say it? Like, stop berating me.
Come on, Ed.
Oh my God! It just rambles.
So-
He just rolls down the hill, and you can't stop him. You can't stop him.
The nose. Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna know. All right.
Oh, all right.
Wait, Jeff is dying. Of,
Jeff is dying
of
over here.
consumption over here. It's,
No.
it's like the 1890s.
I feel like it just when this horse was running, dearest Madeline, Jeff has died of consumption.
Please send some Necco wafers and Nilla Wafers.
And Nilla Wafers. Whose taste? All right. What else are we getting on the nose besides cherry?
I mean, that's so powerful to me. There might be some like oakiness to it and maybe some baking spices. I'm not getting a lot of other fruits on the nose, I'll be honest with you.
So
But
I'm getting what it said on the other one in the first part, an orange creamsicle kind of scent under the cherry.
Interesting.
It's not very like herbaceous or floral or anything like that. Oh, almost a deep molasses in there.
I can't wait. I'm trying it.
Okay, go ahead.
Wow. How can that be so different from 1% proof from the bottle and bond? It is very different.
Very different.
Ew, it does finish short as shit, though. All right, I'm getting a lot of fruit on the initial palate. Raisins and
Cinnamon apple.
maybe an apple for me. I don't know. It's possible. Something else. Grapes. I'm getting some grapes. Grapiness for sure.
Interesting.
So like raisins and grapes. Oh, wait, that's the same thing, isn't it, really?
Right, one's the dried version of the other.
Well,
but
like, wait, what's the dried plum?
a prune.
All right, no. So maybe I'm getting prunes and raisins.
Yeah. I'm definitely getting a hint of like a spiced apple, like a baked apple.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying raisins and prunes is because I feel like the sweetness is muted, but the flavor's there.
Are you thinking like a white grape or a red grape?
No. I'm getting a very dark grape. Yeah,
Okay,
dark
okay.
grape. Absolutely. But I'm getting like a lighter pepper. I could say fancy, like, oh, white pepper.
Right.
But no, it's like I'm getting pepper definitely on the finish, but it's a very short finish. Are you getting a short finish too?
Yeah, I'm getting a short finish, and it tastes like a dry red wine. So I was that piggybacks on your sort of grapey.
The grapiness, okay.
And that's why I was asking like which kind of grape on the finish though. I don't get it initially, but it does wash when I'm swallowing. I like this one a lot.
I do.
There's a nice spiciness at the end
once again,
too.
For $40.
Right, these have all been very
Ooh,
reasonable.
I'm getting a lot of anise right now.
Ooh.
Anise is all over my finish right now.
Okay.
It took a couple of sips, but now that I haven't sipped for a minute, everything I'm breathing in and out is anise.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
This one, yeah. Try it coming in and out. Like,
It's almost like a fourth tasting category.
yeah, like the breathiness of the finish is like a second thing. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
the exhale.
literally exhaling anise every time I breathe in and out.
Yeah.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe.
The nose, the palate, the finish, and the exhale.
We're paying the crickets. We might as well use them.
I think I might like this better than the Speakeasy.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Still feel like I like the Speakeasy a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how the same mash bill, 1 proof higher.
I don't either.
Wait, I'm going to go back and taste. I left some of the bottle and bond here.
Oh, I have that too.
But do you like it better than the Speakeasy
Combination
Frankenstein
with the Kentucky Vintage?
Kentucky Vintage.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to taste them side by side.
Oh my God, Scott, taste them side by side. It's amazing.
How different they are, or like?
Complimentary and different at the same time. I want to watch you do it.
All right, that was.
I love to watch Scott.
when I do it. Oh my God. Oh, you know what? That's weird. So I didn't clear my palate. I had the Estate in my mouth, and then I went to the bottle and bond, and I tasted peanuts. Like it's the nuttiness, the almond that I wasn't getting before. All right, let me go back to the Estate. Oh my God, the State is a fruit bomb after the Bottle and Bond.
A fruit bomb.
So I tasted the almonds going from the Estate to the Bottle and Bond, and I tasted more fruit going from the Bottle and Bond to Estate.
Combine them. I just combined them.
Did you?
They are fascinating together. Being the same mash bill and only a proof point apart.
Who does this? Who are the assholes
Who doesn't
who
do this? Who doesn't do this?
What the hell is that flavor? It's like
It's like vinyl all of a sudden.
it's like licorice sawdust or
Yeah,
something.
like it doesn't work.
It doesn't really
It really
work.
doesn't work, but I wanted you to try it just so you
Yeah.
can see how bizarre it is.
It's very bizarre.
When they're the same mash bill.
Right.
And they're 1 percentage proof apart.
Wait,
and they're
stop.
only within like a year age.
Stop. Where are we? What are we talking about?
Oh, we
now?
combined these two right here.
Okay.
we combined 1 and 2.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the fuck have I been?
I don't know. Where have you been?
Slow down.
Yeah. Wait,
Take
Ed,
it
You're losing
easy.
your listeners.
Are we?
Are we?
We just lost you.
We lost Jeff.
Fuck off.
Oh, I love the fuck off from Jeff. Love it.
You're so funny.
Jeff got surly. What are you thinking? It's weird, right?
I'm thinking we should talk about skateboarding.
You'll hear that next week. Ed goes on a whole rant about skateboarding.
Hey, if you got a skateboard, bring it out next week and check it out.
Tell all your skateboarding buddies to listen to the podcast next
Yep.
week. All right, so let's do the tasting notes of the Estate. This is from Breaking Bourbon in 2022. On the nose, brandy. Oh, so wine-ish. Spice nuts. That's what it says.
Juveniles.
Cranberry and red Twizzlers.
Red Twizzler.
see, now-
Wait. You said something.
Well, we
about
said
wine.
cherry, right? That had to be what we smelled.
Cherry candy, yeah.
Oh my God, that had to be it the whole time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I actually think they're strawberry, the red ones, but we were
Yeah, they
tasting
think they are
We
strawberry.
were definitely getting cherry.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. But they're not real strawberry.
No, right. They're
Yeah.
candy manufactured.
Exactly.
Whatever. Well, I'm pretty happy about that. Okay.
Yeah.
good.
On the palate, earthy, rich, and surprisingly potent with a rush of plum, dark raspberry, and grape, almost like a barley wine. Oh, wow.
Wow.
On the finish, memorable but potentially polarizing with a quick ramp up of spice backed with mild notes of anise and oak, leaving you reeling and questioning just what took place.
We were saying we were breathing anise out.
Anise out.
Oh my God, we killed that one. Yay, hire us. Somebody.
So I really love the Estate.
Yeah.
Combining it with the Bottle and Bond, don't do it.
No, don't do it. It's not better. But the Estate's a little bit better than the Bottle and Bond.
Yeah.
It's your decision. You could have almost 2 bottles of the Bottle and Bond.
Right.
For one of the Estate.
Yeah.
So wait, to recap, the Bottle and Bond was how much?
25.
And the Estate was
40.
Oh wow.
Right. So what Ed's saying is like, if, depending on your wallet and your taste profile,
Right.
you might like the Bottle and Bond, even though overall we didn't like it as much as the Estate.
I'll never stop being amazed at how different the same mash bill can taste. And even the same proof. I don't understand it.
It
Don't
must
understand.
be like positioned in the rick house or certain
Yes.
barrels that they're selecting.
Maybe,
or,
right. All that.
Yeah.
All that.
Because it's
Absolutely.
literally the same juice, just aged
Right.
differently somehow.
So now we're up to the Noah's Mill Bourbon. It's 114.3 proof. You got something to say about that, Scott?
I do. I'm super excited
And we
about
chose
this.
not to add Rowan's Creek.
Yeah.
Which is like a 90 something, right?
Rowan's Creek is 100.1.
Right.
The same mash bill as the other two, and we're like, we
Right.
can't get 3
Of
like,
the
within
same
one
right,
proof.
right. So we figured, like, let's get something a little bit farther out. Though it would have been fascinating to see if the Rowan's Creek at 101 was vastly different from the old Bardstown
Right.
Estate.
At this point, who knows?
I mean, how different those two tasted.
Yeah.
So we have the Noah's Mill Bourbon. Scott, what's the deal with it?
I have a description from Breaking Bourbon.
All right.
Noah's Mill was first released in the mid-1990s with a 15-year age statement.
Wow.
It is the sister bottle to Rowan's Creek, a lower proof bottling from Willett with a similar look and feel. In the early 2000s, the age statement was dropped from Noah's Mill's label, and until recently, the product was sourced. Willett Distillery did not disclose where Noah's Mill was distilled for much of its history and likely included whiskeys from a number of distilleries. However, as Willett's distillate aged, the company eventually changed over to bottling Noah's Mill with their own distillate in recent years. And I will say that much of the speculation online is that at least some of Willett's whiskeys, I don't know in Noah's Mill in particular, was sourced from Heaven Hill. Because Heaven Hill, as we know, is like right there. You can see their warehouses from each other. So the stats of this, it's 114.3 proof, so we're climbing the ladder. It's no age statement again, but I would assume that's probably like 6 or 7. Same mash bill again, and I'll say it again. 72% corn, 13% rye, 15% malted barley. The MSRP is 60. I got it today for 55.
I'm excited about this.
I'm excited because I think the last time that I tasted this, it was their sourced stuff. And it's been like 8 years.
Is this what Marty loves?
Yes.
This is like one of Marty's.
Yeah, this is one of Marty's go-tos. I think we bought him a bottle at some point, like his birthday or something.
Yeah.
Christmas, something.
Vanilla on this.
Oh, it's definitely higher proof. Whoa.
I get like sugar, vanilla, and ethanol.
I can see
Like-
that.
Oh, it smells like vanilla ice cream
Yeah.
And ethanol.
and ethanol. An alcoholic vanilla ice cream, like a brandy Alexander, a bourbon Alexander, which we did on one of our episodes.
I don't get much on the nose. Like I said, very vanilla, very caramel, and then ethanol. I don't know if that's what you're getting, but that's
No, that is what I'm getting.
it's a very, very thin nose considering something so potent.
I'm trying to get past that. There has to be deeper notes on this. Maybe our nose is
No.
from 5 different ones.
Definitely vanilla.
Oh, for sure.
Sure.
It's a vanilla bomb almost.
Yeah, very much so.
Much more than you would expect from a regular bourbon. I get a little bit of fruit there. I'm not really sure what it was. It was so fleeting.
I thought I got like a grape, maybe.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
see,
Maybe my raisin. I thought it was my raisin again, but I'm
Yeah,
tired.
see, I'm always going to cherry, but I don't think it really was that.
A fleeting grape.
A fleeting cherry, fleeting grape.
All right.
I don't
I'm getting
know.
brown sugar. I just tasted it.
Oh, you tasted it.
Yeah, because there's not much on the nose, so I tasted it.
I mean, I can kind of
But I'm also getting
smell that.
herbaceous notes at the end of it, like oak, like maybe leather or tobacco, like you tend to get. This is on the palate.
Ooh.
Can I
Oh, this
stop
is
for a second?
nice. Yeah, go ahead.
For anyone that's listening, herbaceous. Define that.
Herbaceous is non-sweet. It could be some type of a floral. It's not quite baking spices, so it's like it could be a mint.
Like,
it could be grass. It could be it's nature. If you it's dirt, you know what I mean. Like
I always go to like an herb from your garden, like
So not-
sage or thyme.
see, I know.
or,
So I've been misusing that because I use it for non-sweet notes. But to me, I also include leather and tobacco in that. So if that's not appropriate, that's just what I've always said.
yeah, I would say well, tobacco is a plant, right? So
Okay, all
anything
right.
that's a plant that's
Right.
not a flower would be herbaceous.
All right. So
But leather can be definitely into tobacco, and some people call that earthy. But like, there's a lot of overlap.
So thyme, oregano.
Yes,
Yeah, sure,
so those would all be herbaceous in my
Okay,
book for
okay,
sure.
Okay, so that might be confusing.
No, I mean that's a good point. Like sometimes we use these terms and we're not really defining them.
there, of course, there's some oak, there's some vanilla, but I'm getting when I tasted it, there's some fruits that hit right away. But like I said brown sugar, and then it went into like tobacco.
It's earthy.
and maybe mint, or
Definitely tobacco, definitely cigar.
I'm getting plums again, or prunes, plums, or raisins, something like that again. That type of a muted sweetness.
Oh my God, that cigar is so at the end when it's gone, what we're calling the exhale now.
Oh my God. And-
Not smoky though. It's the wrapper.
But I'm getting like cinnamon at the end, and almost like a
That's a good point. The wrapper.
cooked cinnamon at the end.
Cooked cinnamon.
Yeah, like you put like a stick, like a hot toddy.
The actual cinnamon bark. Yeah, totally can see that. Because it's oaky, and this is also drying, as
Yeah.
most of the other ones were.
Yeah, I mean, but that's okay. A finish doesn't have to be like not dry.
No,
but
of course.
This finish is actually very nice.
I really like this one. This one is the best one of the night. Delicious.
Absolutely. I haven't had a bad whiskey tonight, but this
No.
one is far superior, and that's why it's $60.
Wow. And back of the tongue, definitely a hard cherry.
Oh, hard cherry are you getting? Oh, nice.
A cherry bomb.
Cherry bomb!
Wow, who bought this? You bought this?
I bought this, yeah.
Well, I'm drinking this for the rest of the night. Fuck
Who sang
everybody.
that fucking song?
Yeah.
The Runaways.
The one I always did.
Yeah. Lita Ford and Joan Jett.
And
Who was the singer?
Awful song.
You don't like it?
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
it's not the
the
best
blonde.
song ever.
I mean, cherry bomb. It was
Why can't I remember her name?
wasn't it cherry? Maybe. I think her name might have been Cherry something. I don't know.
Cherry Bomb.
It's okay not to remember.
Named after her.
But this, I mean, remember, everything was under $45.
Except
for the
this, and
nose
this
mill.
is only 60.
And
this is extraordinary.
I'm gonna be
for
honest with
60.
you. This is an $80 whiskey.
Yeah,
Very easily. Do you have any small batch select left over?
I do.
I mean, because that's a $60 whiskey. I wonder how, we'll do it all fair. I wonder
Mm-hmm.
how they would hang up together. I think as a $60 whiskey, that Noah's Mill might be one of the biggest bargains. We're always looking for bargains, everybody, because everyone came out with a $100 whiskey the last year, you know? What's your best bargain? If Noah's Mill is still 60 to you, my God, 114 proof. Are you kidding me?
Or 55, like I saw it today.
Are you
it was
kidding
on
me?
sale. I was like,
$55?
this is a bargain. Did you drop some water into it?
Might open up some sweetness because it might cut down some of the herbaceous notes that I'm getting, the tobacco and the cigar and everything else.
Well, I tasted something very specific, and I'll see if you guys agree with me.
Is it a fruit or is it a not
Now,
fruit?
I'm not going to tell you at all.
Oh, fuck. Was it mint?
No, but I actually do taste mint.
Okay, hold up.
Yeah. I mean, it's still hot, even after dropping 5 drops of water into it.
Was it creme brulee? Like a burnt vanilla?
No.
Okay.
So what I tasted initially, after adding the water, was a cinnamon brown sugar type
Oh, I said.
taste.
I said brown sugar on the initial. So okay. So
Right, but
and I
then you
already
said creme brulee, which is a toasted
Yeah,
sugar.
okay, right.
Not the vanilla part, though.
No, right.
But that's just what I got initially. But like the mint is actually really good because I absolutely taste that now. This is the king
Oh, my God.
of the bourbons that we've had.
If you're wondering, hey, I want to try Willett, I always suggest getting 3 bottles. The pot still, because it's a great bottle. And people shit all over it. And I'll tell you right now, you can get it for $45-$50. It's a great bourbon. Then you get the Family Estate Rye. That's come down in price. It's around $59 where I live, which is pretty reasonable for 107, 112 proof rye whiskey. Get that.
It's delicious.
But then, if you want a third Willett bottle that's prominent, the Noah's Mill is exceptional.
I think some of the hate that some of Willett's whiskeys get is because of the confusion of when they were sourcing versus now when they're distilling their own stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
So everything we've tasted tonight is their own stuff. Everything before, like 12 years ago, was
2012. Right?
Yeah, even 3 years beyond that. So like 2015, because it had to age.
Right.
So anything in the last 7-8 years before that has been sourced. So
Right.
if people don't like something and they've formed this opinion
Sure,
like a
sure,
decade
sure.
ago and they haven't gone back to it, go back to it.
But Scott and I have also realized that some people have sourced their whole career.
Right. I'm not
But I'm just saying, like,
disparaging
so-
the sourcing.
but I'm saying, like-
I'm disparaging the difference.
Because when you go to Willett's bar for lunch, they have shit from like 10, 15 years ago on the menu, and it's sourced. But guess what? I bet it's good because why else would people be drinking it this long?
Oh, shit. I didn't do the tasting notes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, these are from Breaking Bourbon from 2023. So the nose says honest, charming, and nutty, like me.
That's like me.
Jeff and I had the same joke. With seasoned oak and rich caramel. All in the palate, a rich, velvety tapestry of flavors, beginning with brown sugar, followed by a funky, earthy undertones of tobacco reminiscent of cigar box with prunes, charred oak, nuts, and graham crackers.
Ooh.
On the finish, kicks off with a spicy punch of cinnamon, followed by burnt caramel and spice extending into a long and delicious aftertaste. We hit pretty well.
I even had plums involved in that at one point.
Yeah,
right?
the prunes, yes. Nice job.
I'm actually pouring myself more because it's the best thing I had tonight.
All right, so we're going to go over their other whiskeys very quickly. So we tasted 5, they have 12, so these are the other 7, plus their single barrels. They're bourbons that are similar in mash bill to these 3 that we just did, 72% corn, 13% rye, 15% malted barley. They have the Old Bardstown bourbon, just their regular base expression,
Right.
which is 90 proof, and then the Rowan's Creek, which we already talked about, the 100.1 proof. They're blended bourbons, which is 72, 13, and 15, plus a 52% corn, 38% rye,
Wow.
10% malted barley. So they have the Johnny Drum.
Johnny Drum, is that blend?
Yes.
Wow.
It's 101 proof and it's 65-35 ratio.
Right. We thought about getting it, but we
Really?
correctly
We have too
thought we
much.
drank enough.
Yeah. And the Pure Kentucky XO,
I love it.
yes, which is 107 proof, and that has an 85-15% ratio. And we did that on our Whiskey Madness.
So there's no
2022.
malted barley in it?
No, there is.
Oh, there's no rye in it.
No, there is.
You said 85-15.
85-15 ratio in the blend of the 2 different mash bills.
So 85 what?
So it's 85 of the 72, 13, 15. And 15% of the 52, 38, 10.
I didn't realize that. Oh, that makes sense why I like it so much.
So they're wheated bourbons. They have 2. And the mash bill is 65% corn, 20% wheat, 15% malted barley. That's the Willet pot still that we talked about.
I love it.
94 proof. That was under Whiskey Madness 2020. And the Willet Wheat 8-year bourbon, which I don't know if I've ever seen.
No, the Willet Bourbon that's 8 year is hard to find and super expensive. Like, I've never seen it. It's a purple top. If I'm wrong.
Well, no, that's different actually.
Is
so
it?
yeah. So they have different purple tops,
Yeah.
green tops. I'll get to that.
yeah, I've never never found one of their 8-year bourbons out in the world.
Yeah, so the weeded 8-year bourbon is like has a black label. It's 108 proof. And then we have the rye, their Willett Family Estate small batch 4-year rye. They've released 2 years and 3 years. They've 6 years and 8 years, but those are the purple tops and the green tops that I'm going to get to. The 4-year rye is usually bottled at cask strength, so they can vary. This is a blend, so it's 90% of a 74% rye, 11% corn,
Wow.
15% malted barley.
That's high rye, bro.
And 10% of a 51% rye, 34% corn, 15% malted barley, which we featured on episode 14. And then they have their single barrels, which vary because basically
Sure.
they do these in conjunction with organizations, bars, liquor stores, that kind of thing.
Right.
The bourbons are purple tops.
Yes.
And the ryes are the green tops.
Really?
Yeah. All right. I don't know. I mean, we already talked about our favorite. What do you think was your second favorite?
So
Noah's Mill is the winner.
I would say that Speakeasy was my second favorite.
Okay.
It has some great caramel and candy notes, so it's in my wheelhouse. Yeah, I would go Noah's Mill, Speakeasy, and then if you put a gun to my head, I'm going Bottle and Bond.
All right. Jeff, how about you?
I had to retaste the Noah's Mill versus the Frankenstein.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
I see. Yeah, I got you. For me, it's Noah's Mill, and then it's the Estate, and then it's the Speakeasy, then it's the Bottle and Bond, and then it's the Kentucky Vintage.
You're wrong.
Say that again.
Noah's, Estate, Speakeasy,
Really? Okay. All right.
Bottle and Bond, then Vintage.
I agree with Jeff. You're wrong, but that's fine. It's like, it's what you like.
Well, you know what's funny is
Too
that
much alcohol.
I can edit this to sound like it's anything I want.
Try as you want.
All right, I think that is it. This has been a wonderful exploration of Willet Bourbons. Ed, take us out.
If you've never danced with Willett, now's the time. Most of these are available where you live. Go grab them and take a little Willett journey on your own. Yeah. Jeff, you've been there twice. How do you feel about it?
The only tasting note.
Put your penis away and just tell us how you feel about it.
The tasting note we missed was that the worst of the bourbons taste like the tears of Andy Reid.
My God.
Because we're gonna fuck him over on February 9th.
Wow.
Throwing down the gauntlet.
Wow.
I love it.
I was not ready for that at
I
all.
love it. He's wearing his Eagle sweatshirt and everything.
Right.
And this will come out actually before the Super Bowl, so we either keep it or we don't.
Excellent.
Right. Well, he said it, so keep it.
All right.
And then if he has to eat some crow, he'll be on 3 months later, so it won't be a problem. All right. So for the Whiskey Tangent Podcast, if you've never drank Willett, you've been missing out. I'm Ed.
I'm Scott.
I'm Jeff.
Go Birds!